What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Should have a fun one for you today. I'm going to be installing the Racing Beat rear lower control arm brace on the Miata. We're going to be taking it for a drive and I'm going to give my thoughts on the brace. This is a part that I've wanted for a long time. Actually, I don't know what took me so long to actually pull the trigger and get one of these, but we've got it now. I've always really liked the way these things look, especially with a bumper cut. I think it looks really cool, and I'm excited to see if it actually makes a difference. Now, this product is designed specifically for the 1990 to 91 and a half year models, as these models had no bracing from the factory at the rear lower control arms or the subframe. The later cars actually came from the factory with a brace in the rear. So if you have a car that is newer than 1991 and you want to install this on your car, you'll need to remove that factory brace and trim some of the mounting points on the subframe to install this. So this should be a pretty easy install. I'm going to walk you guys through the steps as I do it. First step is going to be jacking this car up, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And actually, before I do that, let's take a look in the box and see how it comes. Alright, so in the box it's going to come wrapped up nicely. It comes with a set of instructions. This is a pretty simple install. All we're going to be doing is jacking it up, removing the muffler since it actually goes through the brace, and then attaching this to the rear subframe. This thing has a nice glossy white powder coat finish on it. For some reason in pictures I always thought these things were silver, but it's actually white. So should look pretty nice. I'm gonna get started on the car now. Alright, first thing I'm going to do right now is drop the exhaust off the hangers, remove the two bolts that connect it to the catalytic converter, and then remove the exhaust, the muffler portion of the exhaust from the car. Okay, so like I was saying a second ago, if you have a later model Miata, you're going to have to trim some tabs on the subframe. And I actually just learned it looks like the subframe in my Miata has actually been swapped, because when I go to put this up here, so you put it on the bottom two sway bar studs and then it goes to the bolts that go through the rear lower control arms, but when I go to put this up here, you can see it is hitting on these tabs right here where the factory brace would go across. So I'm gonna have to trim these off before I can install this. Alright, so I got those tabs on the lower part of the subframe cut off now. I just went ahead and re-test fit the brace up there and it fits fine now. So next up is going to be removing the nuts from the lower control arms where this thing mounts up, putting it on there, tightening everything up, and putting the exhaust back on, and then we're pretty much done. And when you're loosening these bolts that go to the rear lower control arms, they actually have eccentric bolts in them. This is mentioned in the instructions. So we're going to need to mark where they're set currently and try not to disturb the alignment when we loosen the bolts. Alright, I just spent a little time cleaning up and trying to polish my stock muffler because it is a little embarrassing, to be honest. It's just dirty and nasty and not good looking. Maybe try and change that in the future, but for now this is a lot better. So now all we gotta do pretty much is put this exhaust back on and we're done. Alright, so after much longer than that should have taken, I've got the install completely done. It really is not a difficult job. I made a mistake when I was installing the brace and decided to use an impact to just try and get it done real quick, and I ended up breaking off one of the sway bar studs just because the impact had too much power and it just snapped it off. The sway bar studs really do not require much torque at all, so don't be like me. Pay attention to the installation instructions and follow the torque specs. What I ended up doing was I was able to get the broken stud out of the subframe and I replaced it with a bolt and a nut, so it is secured with all 4 nuts like it should be, but it just ended up taking me a lot longer than it should have. So now that we're all done, I am very pleased with this. I think it looks sick, which is the main reason why I bought this. I've always really just liked the look of them, especially with the bumper cut. I just took it for a quick drive and it is hard to say if it actually makes a noticeable difference. The rear end definitely feels tight and solid. It's just hard to say if I can actually notice a difference than before. I would definitely recommend this to early 1.6 owners who have none of the factory bracing. It's not a very expensive part, and theoretically I could see how it could help by connecting the lower control arm points on the subframe. But for now, that's really all I've got to say about this one. It's all wrapped up. I think it looks sweet. Let me know if you like this video. Come back next week for some more Miata content. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome week, and we will see you in the next one.